The champagne glass shattered at my feet, spraying tiny droplets across my cream-colored dress. His mother's voice cut through the ballroom like a knife. "Gold digger!" 200 guests laughed as his brother ripped up our engagement photo right in front of me. His sister called me trailer trash. My fiancé begged them to stop, his voice breaking with desperation. But I just smiled, pulled out my phone, and made one call. 30 seconds later, everything changed forever. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm about to tell you how I went from being the joke of a high society party to watching those same people beg for my forgiveness. This story has more twists than you can imagine, and I promise you, the ending will leave you speechless. But before we get to that moment, let me take you back to where it all began. Let me be honest with you about something. My full name is Elizabeth Pierce, daughter of Jonathan Pierce, owner of Pierce Global Empire. You might have heard of it. My father's company is worth $47 billion. Yes, billion with a B. But here's the thing. Nobody knew this about me. Not my friends, not my colleagues, and definitely not my fiancé. For the past 3 years, I'd been living in a modest one-bedroom apartment in the East District, driving a regular sedan, and working as a business consultant under my mother's maiden name, Elizabeth Carter. Why would someone with access to unlimited wealth choose to live like this? Simple. I wanted to find real love. I wanted someone to fall for me. Elizabeth the person, not Elizabeth the trust fund. I'd seen too many relationships in my circle crumble because people couldn't separate the person from the money. My father understood this better than anyone. When I told him I wanted to live independently and hide my identity, he supported me completely. He said, "Sweetheart, real character shows when people think you have nothing to offer them." 1 year ago, I met Adrian Whitmore at a charity art gallery. He was standing in front of an abstract painting, looking genuinely confused by it. I laughed and told him it was upside down. He turned around, smiled, and said, "Either that or the artist was standing on their head." We talked for 3 hours that night, and I felt something I'd never felt before. He was handsome, yes, but more than that, he was kind. He listened when I spoke. He remembered small details about my life. He didn't try to impress me with money or status. Adrian came from the Whitmore family, old money real estate moguls who owned half the city's luxury properties. His family was wealthy, not as wealthy as mine, but comfortable. Worth about $2.3 billion, though I didn't know that at first and honestly didn't care. Over the next 10 months, we built something beautiful together. He thought I was just a regular working girl trying to make it in the big city, and he loved me for exactly that. When he proposed to me during a simple rooftop dinner with city lights twinkling around us, he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Elizabeth, you're the only real thing in my fake world." Everyone around me wants something, wants access, wants connections, wants to be seen with my family name. But you just want me. Will you marry me? I said yes through tears, and I meant it with every fiber of my being. But then came the warning signs. Adrian's best friend pulled me aside one evening and said, "Look, I love Adrian and I can tell he's crazy about you, but his family is complicated. His mother Vivian runs that family like a military general. His brother Nicholas is ruthless and competitive about everything, and his sister Camilla lives for gossip and drama. Just be prepared." I appreciated the warning, but I thought, how bad could they really be? I'd dealt with difficult people before. I could handle one family dinner. Adrian echoed similar concerns. "They'll love you eventually," he said, squeezing my hand. "Just maybe don't mention the apartment rental or the used car right away. Let them get to know you first." That should have been my first real red flag, but love makes you optimistic. I agreed to meet them at their annual charity gala, a massive event with over 200 guests from the city's elite social circles. The Whitmore estate was exactly what you'd expect from old money: sprawling gardens, marble fountains, a ballroom with crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than most people's houses. I chose my outfit carefully, a simple but elegant cream-colored dress, modest jewelry, classic heels. I deliberately didn't want to look like I was trying too hard or competing with anyone. I just wanted to look like myself. The moment I walked in on Adrian's arm, I felt eyes on me, judgmental eyes, calculating eyes. Adrian introduced me to his mother first. Vivienne Whitmore stood there in a wine-red gown dripping with diamonds, her silver hair styled in a perfect chignon. She looked at me the way someone might examine a used car they're not sure they want to buy. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Carter?" she said, her voice honey-sweet but with an edge. "I don't know any Carters." "What do your people do, dear?" Before I could answer properly, Adrian's brother Nicholas appeared. He was tall, wearing an expensive suit, and had a smirk that made my skin crawl. "What kind of business?" he interrupted. "Convenience store?" Several guests nearby chuckled. I felt my cheeks burn but kept my composure. Then came Camilla, Adrian's younger sister, in a bright purple dress covered in sequins. She circled around me like a shark. "That dress is quaint," she said, loud enough for people to hear. "Is it vintage? Or just old?" More laughter rippled through the crowd. Adrian's hand tightened on mine. "Stop it. All of you," he said firmly. But Vivienne just smiled. "Darling, we're just getting to know her." I thought maybe that was the worst of it. I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. About an hour into the party, Vivienne tapped her champagne glass with a knife, calling for everyone's attention. My stomach dropped. "Everyone," she announced in her carrying voice, "I'd like you to meet my son's friend, Elizabeth Carter." The way she emphasized the word friend made it sound like an insult. I could feel 200 pairs of eyes turn toward me. Nicholas stepped forward with his phone in hand. "Tell everyone, Elizabeth." "How did you and my brother meet?" I tried to answer calmly. "At a charity gallery." But Camilla cut me off with a laugh. "Oh, were you serving drinks there?" The entire ballroom erupted in laughter. I felt Adrian's body tense beside me. His face was turning red. "Camilla, that's enough," he shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the crowd's amusement. Then Nicholas did something that made my blood run cold. He pulled up photos on his phone and, somehow, projected them onto a screen at the front of the ballroom. There was my apartment building, modest, old brick, nothing fancy. My small sedan parked on the street. A photo of me in casual clothes carrying groceries. "I did some digging," Nicholas announced proudly. "Elizabeth Carter rents a one-bedroom apartment in the East District, works as a, consultant." He said the word like it was a joke. The gasps and whispers started immediately. I heard someone say, "She's a nobody." Another voice, "Poor Adrian, he's being taken advantage of." Someone else, "Gold digger, obviously." The room started spinning. This wasn't just meeting difficult in-laws. This was a public execution. Vivienne's face turned ice cold. "Adrian, a word. Now." She grabbed his arm and started pulling him toward a private study off the main ballroom. Nicholas and Camilla followed, and I was dragged along like a criminal being led to sentencing. The moment the study door closed, Vivienne exploded. And I mean exploded. "Are you out of your mind?" she screamed at Adrian. "This girl is a gold digger. It's written all over her. Look at her. She has nothing. She is nothing. And you want to marry her?" Nicholas crossed his arms, looking smug. "Bro, she saw you coming from a mile away. Poor girl meets rich guy. Classic con," Camilla added with fake sympathy. "She probably Googled richest single men, and there you were, top of the list." Adrian was defending me, his voice rising. "You don't know her. Elizabeth is kind and smart and real." But Vivienne cut him off. "Smart? Yes, I'll give you that. Smart enough to trap my son. Well, it's not happening. Not while I'm alive." That's when Nicholas reached into Adrian's jacket pocket and pulled out a photo, our engagement photo, the one Adrian carried everywhere. We looked so happy in it, so in love. Nicholas held it up, looked me dead in the eyes and ripped it in half. Just tore it right down the middle. My eyes welled up with tears, but I refused to let them fall. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Camilla noticed and laughed cruelly. "Oh, is she gonna cry? Maybe she should call her poor daddy to come get her." She said, "Poor daddy." in a mocking baby voice. Vivian stepped closer to me, her perfume overwhelming. "This engagement will not happen. I will make absolutely sure of it. You will leave my son alone, or I will destroy whatever pathetic little life you've built for yourself." Adrian grabbed my hand. "Mother, I love her. I'm going to marry her whether you approve or not." But his words felt hollow in that moment, drowned out by his family's venom. Vivian straightened her dress and opened the study door. "We're returning to the party. And you," she pointed at me, "will learn your place." Walking back into that ballroom was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Every eye was on me. The whispers were loud enough to hear. "She's still here?" The audacity. Someone should call security. Vivian took the microphone from the band leader, and my heart stopped. "I apologize for the interruption, everyone," she said in her elegant hostess voice. "But I have an important announcement. There will be no engagement between my son and this woman. Adrian has been deceived by someone interested only in our family name and fortune, a gold digger, plain and simple." She pointed directly at me as she said it. The room went silent for just a moment, and then someone yelled, "Gold digger!" Another voice joined in. "She doesn't even belong here!" Nicholas raised his champagne glass high. "To recognizing trash when we see it. That's when someone, I never saw who, threw their glass." It shattered at my feet, champagne and glass shards spraying across my dress and shoes. Adrian was shouting at his family, his face purple with rage, but nobody was listening. Camilla was laughing so hard she had tears running down her face. "This is the best party ever," she squealed. Guests were pulling out their phones, recording everything. I could already imagine the social media posts. "Gold digger exposed at Whitmore Gala." Everyone expected me to run, to cry, to break down and flee in humiliation. I could see it in their faces. They were waiting for the final act of my public destruction. But something inside me went completely calm. Icy calm. I thought about my father's words. "Real character shows when people think you have nothing to offer them." Well, they certainly thought I had nothing. I took a deep breath, wiped a tiny drop of champagne from my cheek, and looked directly at Vivian, then at Nicholas, then at Camilla, and I smiled. Not a nervous smile or a defeated smile, a knowing smile, a confident smile. The smile of someone holding all the cards. Vivian's perfectly shaped eyebrows furrowed. "What are you smiling about?" I walked calmly toward her and held out my hand. "May I borrow the microphone?" She looked confused, almost suspicious. "What?" I kept my hand extended, my smile never wavering. "You've had your say. I'd like mine." Adrian grabbed my arm gently. "Elizabeth, you don't have to do this." But I did have to. Not for revenge, not to hurt them, but because sometimes people need to learn that their assumptions and their cruelty have consequences. "No," I said softly to Adrian. "I want to." Vivian, probably thinking I was about to apologize or beg, handed me the microphone with a smirk. I turned to face the crowd of 200 guests, all staring at me with various expressions of pity, disdain, or curiosity. "Thank you all for such a memorable evening," I began, my voice steady. "You've certainly shown me who you really are, and I appreciate that honesty. Before I go, I need to make one quick phone call. Do you mind?" I pulled out my phone, right there in front of everyone. Nicholas burst out laughing. "Oh, great! Is Daddy coming in his minivan?" Camilla joined in. "This is pathetic. Just leave already." But I ignored them and dialed a number I knew by heart. The room went quiet enough to hear the phone ring through the microphone. "Hi, Dad," I said when he picked up. "Yes, I'm fine." "Can you come pick me up?" "Yes, here, right now." "The Whitmore estate." I paused, listening. "You were already nearby?" "Perfect. How long? 3 minutes? Great. See you soon." I hung up and slipped my phone back into my purse. The laughter was immediate. Nicholas was practically doubled over. "Daddy's coming." "Oh, this is too good." Camilla wiped her eyes. "What's he driving, honey?" "A Honda Civic?" Even some of the guests were chuckling. Vivian looked at me with something like pity mixed with disdain. "This is ridiculous. Security, please escort—" "You might want to wait," I interrupted calmly, checking my watch. "He'll be here in about 2.5 minutes now." Vivian sighed dramatically. "Fine. Let's watch this pathetic finale together." The crowd seemed to agree, everyone waiting to see what kind of embarrassing father would show up to collect his gold-digging daughter. Those 2.5 minutes felt like an eternity, but I stood there calmly, that same small smile on my face. Adrian stood beside me, confused but loyal. Then, exactly on time, we heard it. The sound of car engines, multiple car engines, loud, powerful engines. Through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of the ballroom, headlights appeared in the circular driveway. But not just one or two headlights. Many. The entire driveway lit up like a runway. People rushed to the windows. "What is that?" someone gasped. The engines got louder, and then the cars came into full view. 7 vehicles pulled up in perfect formation. 2 Rolls-Royces, 3 Mercedes Maybachs, and 2 Range Rovers, all black, all gleaming under the estate's lights. The crowd pressed against the windows. Whose cars are those? Is that a government convoy? "Oh my God, look at that Rolls-Royce!" But before anyone could process the cars, the doors opened. Security personnel stepped out first. At least 10 men in perfectly tailored black suits with earpieces, and the kind of posture that screamed professional protection. They moved with military precision, forming a pathway from the vehicles to the ballroom entrance. The whispers grew louder. "Who is this? This can't be for her?" "Wait, I recognize that security team." Nicholas's smug expression started to falter. Camilla stopped laughing. Vivian's champagne glass trembled slightly in her hand. Then the ballroom doors opened, and my father walked in. Jonathan Pierce. Tall, commanding, silver-haired, wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. Every single person in that room recognized him. You don't become one of the world's wealthiest men without being recognizable. The gasps were immediate and loud. "That's Jonathan Pierce." "The Jonathan Pierce?" "Oh my God! Pierce Global Empire!" Phones came out everywhere, people frantically trying to capture the moment. My father's eyes scanned the room until they found me. His stern expression softened immediately, and he walked straight toward me, ignoring every single other person. When he reached me, he kissed my forehead gently. "Sweetheart, are you all right?" His voice was warm, concerned, and loud enough for the silent room to hear. I smiled up at him. "I'm fine now, Dad." The room went from gasps to dead silence. You could have heard a pin drop on that marble floor. Vivian's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor, but she didn't even seem to notice. Nicholas had turned completely pale, his mouth hanging open. Camilla looked like she might actually faint. Adrian was piecing everything together, his eyes wide with realization. My father turned to address the crowd, and when Jonathan Pierce speaks, people listen. "Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the dramatic interruption." His voice carried authority that made everyone stand a little straighter. "My daughter called me, said she was being harassed. Naturally, I came immediately." He turned to look directly at Vivian, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Mrs. Whitmore, I believe you called my daughter a gold digger." Vivian tried to speak, but only a strangled sound came out. She tried again. We didn't know." "Mr. Pierce, I had no idea." "No idea of what?" my father interrupted calmly. "That Elizabeth Pierce, my only child and heir to Pierce Global Empire, didn't need your family's money?" He let that sink in for a moment. The whispers exploded. "She's Elizabeth Pierce? The Pierce daughter? Oh my God, she's worth billions." "This can't be real," my father continued, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Let me clarify something for everyone here who seems confused about the situation. The Whitmore family fortune is approximately $2.3 billion. Impressive by most standards." He paused. "Pierce Global Empire is worth $47 billion. My daughter's trust fund alone is worth more than your entire family's net worth combined." Nicholas tried to say something. "Sir, we had no way of knowing," but my father held up one hand, and Nicholas fell silent immediately. "My daughter chose to live modestly. She wanted to find genuine love, to be valued for who she is as a person, not for her last name or her bank account. And you people threw champagne glasses at her. You called her trash. You humiliated her in front of 200 witnesses." Camilla was openly crying now, her makeup running down her face. The guests who had been laughing and recording earlier were now backing away, trying to delete videos, suddenly very interested in their shoes. The social media posts were probably being frantically deleted at that very moment. Vivian tried to approach me, her hands clasped together. "Elizabeth, Miss Pierce, I am so deeply, profoundly sorry. We made a terrible mistake. Please, you must understand, we simply didn't know." I looked at her calmly. "Exactly, Mrs. Whitmore. You didn't know. And because you didn't know I was wealthy, you felt free to be cruel. That's the entire problem." Nicholas stepped forward, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "We would never have, if we had known who you really were." I cut him off. "If you had known I was rich, you would have treated me with respect. But you believed I was poor, so you treated me like garbage. Do you understand why that's worse?" Adrian took my hand, and I could feel his trembling. "Elizabeth, I love you. I am so sorry for my family. I should have protected you better." I squeezed his hand. "You defended me. You tried. That matters." I turned to my father. "I'm ready to go now, Dad." As we walked toward the door, my father stopped suddenly and turned back to face Vivian. "Oh, Mrs. Whitmore? One more thing. About that real estate development deal your husband has pending with Langford Holdings?" Vivian's face went even paler, if that was possible. "Yes," she whispered. "I own Langford Holdings, bought it 3 years ago. The deal's off, effective immediately." Vivian actually swayed on her feet, and Nicholas had to catch her. My father's expression never changed. "Actions have consequences, Mrs. Whitmore. Perhaps in the future, you'll think twice before judging someone by their apartment or their car." We walked out of that ballroom, and I could hear the explosion of voices behind us. But we were already outside, breathing in the cool night air. Adrian ran after us. "Elizabeth, wait! Please." I turned to face him. The look on his face was pure anguish. "Do you still want this?" I asked him quietly. "My life is complicated. It comes with bodyguards and business dinners and a level of scrutiny you've never experienced. And your family—" I trailed off. He grabbed both my hands. "I want you. I don't care about the money, I never did. I fell in love with Elizabeth Carter, who laughed at upside-down paintings and ate cheap takeout with me and was real in every possible way. The fact that you're also Elizabeth Pierce doesn't change that. But I need to know, can you forgive my family?" I thought about it carefully. "I can forgive, Adrian. But I won't forget. And they need to earn back my trust and my respect. They need to prove they can value people for who they are, not what they have." He nodded seriously. "Fair enough. I'll spend every day proving I'm worthy of you, however long it takes." My father, who had been watching this exchange quietly, spoke up. "He's brave." "I like that. Anyone willing to stand here after what just happened and fight for you has character." He looked at Adrian appraisingly. "You'll need that character, son. Being with my daughter means being in the spotlight. Can you handle that?" Adrian straightened his shoulders and looked my father in the eye. "Sir, I can handle anything as long as she's beside me." My father actually smiled, something he rarely did with strangers. "Good answer. Elizabeth, it's your call." I looked at Adrian, really looked at him. Despite everything, despite the humiliation and chaos, he was still here, still fighting for us. "I love you," I told him. "Let's start fresh." No more secrets. He pulled me into a hug, and I heard him whisper, "Thank God. I thought I lost you." We stayed like that for a moment while my father discreetly checked his phone, giving us privacy. Over the next few weeks, the story spread everywhere. Social media exploded with videos from the gala. News outlets picked it up. The Whitmore family became a cautionary tale about judgment and arrogance. Vivian tried reaching out multiple times with elaborate apologies and invitations, but I wasn't ready. They had shown me exactly who they were when they thought I was powerless, and that's hard to forget. Adrian moved into my penthouse, which shocked him since he'd never been there before and had no idea I owned an entire floor of the city's most exclusive building. We started planning a wedding on our own terms, without his family's input. My father gave us his blessing, but warned Adrian that being part of the Pierce family came with responsibilities and expectations. Adrian took it all in stride. As for that real estate deal my father canceled, it cost the Whitmore family approximately $800 million and delayed their biggest development project by 3 years. Some people said my father was too harsh, but I understood. He wasn't just teaching them a lesson, he was showing the world that you can't treat people as disposable just because you think they're beneath you. So what did I learn from all of this? I learned that real character reveals itself when people think you have nothing to offer them. I learned that humility isn't about how much money you have. It's about how you treat others regardless of what they can do for you. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. They called me a gold digger. They tried to break me. They wanted to see me cry and run away in shame. But here's the truth they couldn't accept. I was never digging for gold. I was already standing on a mountain of it. They just couldn't see it because they were too busy looking down on me. And that smile I wore during the worst of their cruelty, that wasn't fake confidence or bravado. That was the calm that comes from knowing exactly who you are, even when everyone else is trying to tell you who you should be. That's a power that no amount of money can buy, though in my case, it certainly didn't hurt to have both. If you loved this story, hit that like button and share it with someone who's ever been underestimated or judged unfairly. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever had a moment where someone completely misjudged you? I want to hear your stories because we all have them. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I share real stories like this one every week. Remember this: stay humble, stay strong, and never let anyone make you feel small. You are enough, exactly as you are. The right people will see your value without you having to prove it. I'll see you in the next one.